Hello and welcome to my channel. It's Monica from Crafting with Quilling Lady and I hope you have absolutely gorgeous day. Here I've got 3 cards for you with beautiful tiny tulips. If you like any of those 3 cards, I hope you'll watch this video and feel inspired to create something unique. Here is Simply Cards and Papercraft magazine, issue 213. With a beautiful free gift with embossing folder, layered cutting dies and sentiment stamps. For my first project, I'm going to emboss a square card measuring 9.5 by 9.5 centimeters, and I'm trying to place it exactly in the middle of the embossing folder. And that will give me my focal point for the card. Now I'm going to emboss 4 stripes of paper, and they are all 1.5 centimeters wide. I'm going to emboss every single one, and that will create a frame for my card, which is super easy. I do encourage you to have a look at the embossing folders you've got at home, because sometimes you can actually emboss different elements or different shapes with your embossing folder for really unique and beautiful look. I decided to use pink color for the first card because I wanted to go with magenta color with a little bit of purple. I really like the combination of pink and purple because they are in the same color family, so they worked perfectly together. When you use ink blending technique, it's so amazing because you can create ombre effects and you can go from very dark to very light. It depends how heavy-handed you are or how gentle you are with pressing the blending tool on the paper. I also decided to add a little bit of purple in the center of my panel, and I actually like this look here. I hope you like it too. For all my cards today, my theme was primary colors. I really wanted to challenge myself, and I really encourage you from time to time, just challenge yourself. Choose a theme. Here I chose primary colors, and every single card is based on a primary color. Okay, so here I'm stamping my sentiment using waterproof black ink. I really like this ink because it always gives me that crisp line. Here I'm going to add a little bit of color to my background. So as you can see, I'm applying the color really gently, and I decided maybe it's not enough, and let's add a little bit more color and go more heavy-handed. So I also applied a little bit of pink and purple, and I thought this is still a little bit too light, so let's add a little bit more purple. And then I was really happy with this effect. So the cutting dies included in this magazine are really tiny. So I encourage you to use heavier cardstock. For my project today, I use 270 GSM, which you will see later on. I do encourage you, when you use any layering dies, always use thicker card, because then all the elements can be adhered easily. Here I'm creating a frame. As you can see, I'm using a pencil just to have a look and make some marks, and then it is so much easier to cut. I'm applying my frame using liquid glue, and this is really easy because you still have time to maneuver your frame. And if you have a glass mat or any mat with grids, that really helps when you add the frame, because then you can make straight lines. To be honest, I was rushing a little bit here, even though I was looking at the grid, but it was quite difficult to do it from the side because I wanted to record it and I couldn't really see the straight lines properly. But I really tried. I really tried my best here. But when you create this one at home, just take your time and make sure the lines are nice and straight. So use a pencil because this is the easiest way to do it, because you can see all the lines. Or maybe you can actually have a better tip how to create a frame so all the sides are equal. If you have that tip, please leave the comment down below. I would absolutely love to know how you do it. Okay, so here is the time for the top frame, and I'm applying it with liquid glue again. And I'm really trying hard to put it on a straight line, but I failed a little bit. But it's fine. It's a handmade card. It's absolutely fine. I'm applying liquid glue to my focal element and my card is nearly done, but we also need to get rid of the pencil marks, and I'm using just a normal eraser. So here is my card. It's 270 GSM and I chose magenta, light, pink and lavender color. I think this color combination is really beautiful. Some people can say, oh, it's just for girls, but I don't really think it's just for girls. I really like this combination. So as you can see, I'm just going to create a flower. I'm not going for the leaves or the stem. I decided just to do the flower. So I actually put all the elements using liquid glue and I made sure they dried before I put it on a card. And for this one, I decided to have 10 tulips around my sentiment, and that actually gives me the second frame on the card. So I've got one square frame and one round frame, and I really like this look. Here I'm trying to attach my panel to a gold mirror card. It is not really straight, but that's okay. And now it's the time to put our card on the card base. And this one is measuring 6 by 6 inches. This card is actually so easy to make. And now it's time to have a look at the card, and I really hope you like it. Okay, let's have a look at our second project. For this one, I'm going to use a little bit of orange and yellow, and I've got two panels here. One is a little bit bigger and one smaller. I'm starting with the bigger one, and I'm applying the ink with ink blending tool. I started with orange and I put a little bit of yellow in the middle just to have that tiny color variation. And then I decided to create a yellow frame around because that will be our matte and layer for the project. And with any inks you've got at home, and you can actually create your own card. Here I'm spraying my card with water and I'm getting rid of it by using tissue because I wanted to have those water drops, like watercolor effect here. And I really liked it. It's time to clean our surface, put the card to the side, and now we are going to die cut the main element. As you can see, I'm using one of the nesting dies. You can have a look at your stash and choose any other nesting die you've got at home. I just wanted to make sure that my nesting die here will cover the middle part of embossing folder. And now it's time to emboss our panel. And as you can see, it is a little bit bigger than the middle, than the circle, which actually worked perfectly because I really wanted to avoid that circle. Now you can see an acetate, and we're going to heat emboss the sentiment. I'm going to use anti-static bag and Versamark, which is transparent sticky ink, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment in the middle. I'm going to use black embossing powder by Cosmic Shimmer. This is a fine embossing powder, and I actually pressed a little bit too hard with the stamp. So as you can see, the lines are pretty thick, but you can fix it easily. I took my pokey tool and I'm just getting rid of the embossing powder I don't want. And actually, this trick worked really well. And when you heat emboss acetate, I do encourage you to preheat your tool for about 20 seconds, and then when you start applying the heat on acetate, just move it really quickly because the powder melts extremely quickly. Okay, and our heat emboss panel is done. Now it's time to attach it to our embossed card, and I'm using red liner tape, which is really strong adhesive. I'm going to use pokey tool to peel it off, and I think this worked absolutely perfectly. I do encourage you to create some shake cards with not only sequins but different elements. And here you will see that I actually use the tulips, and I really like the idea that you can use anything like tiny bits to create shaker elements. This is a really nice idea. So I'm attaching acetate here for my panel, and on the back I actually added double-sided foam adhesive, and here you can have a look at the same card, and this time I chose yellow colors. I went with very dark and very light, and again I'm using just the flower parts of the layering die set. Here you can see all my beautiful tulips inside, and as I said before, I put double-sided foam adhesive on the back of the embossed panel, and I'm applying it on my orange and yellow background. And our shaker element is done. Super simple, and as you can see for this one, I went with yellowish colors. So I started with magenta, and now when you mix magenta and yellow, you get orange. So that was the theme. Okay, now it's time to adhere our beautiful panel on card base, and we just need a little bit of sparkle, so I decided to add these small gold gems with liquid glue. And even this card is really simple. In real life, the embossed element is just so beautiful. So here is the look at our second project. Now for our last project today, I'm going to emboss the whole card this time because I thought, why not? Just super simple and quick. So here is our embossed panel, and then I've got a rectangle which is slightly bigger, and I'm going to apply blue colors because we started with magenta, then we had yellow, so it's time for some blue. Do you remember our primary colors? Yes, that's exactly it. So I'm actually creating matte and layer here for my card, and I really like all those colors. And here I'm applying the color really gently on my embossed panel. Now it's time to add the sentiment, and I'm using again these black waterproof ink because, as I said before, it really gives me the crisp line, and I'm really happy with it. I decided to add a little bit of ribbon, and I chose this one from my stash. It's a satin blue ribbon, and I'm going to use the red liner tape because it's really strong, and I found that it works much better than liquid glue. Here I'm cutting the ribbon just to make sure it is long enough for the elements I want on the card. So I've got 2 longer bits and 2 smaller bits, and that's how it looks attached. And then on the back, I always put the tape on the back, which is a little bit longer, so we can have all the ends on the back. No one will ever see them, but it makes the cut stronger. Here you can see my blue tulips, and I'm attaching them with liquid glue. And again, with liquid glue, you have enough time to maneuver the elements if you need it. I decided to go with diagonal lines here. I thought it would be a good idea. I wonder which look would you like. Would you like to go with straight horizontal and vertical lines? Or do you prefer diagonal lines on the card? Which is your preference? Please let me know in the comments down below. I decided to add a little bit of sparkle here again, and I chose blue tiny gems. And in real life, they catch the light really beautifully and they match these tiny tulips perfectly. I really like these dies, but they are really tiny, and I hope that next time when they've got layered dies in the magazine, the flowers will be a little bit bigger, because it took me quite a long to die cut them all. So that's our last project. Here you can have a look at all three of the cards. I really wonder which one is your favorite. Please let me know down below in the comment. And if you feel inspired and you create something like I did here, I hope you will show me in the comments down below. Have an amazing day and happy crafting. Bye!